rush home.
Hello everyone, it's Grayson and this is Grayson Talks Everything. If you're new to the channel, welcome, I'm Grayson. If you are returning, welcome back. As always, we have an exciting discussion today. Do be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to support me and the channel. Another way you can do that is to follow my Instagram, where you can get the latest updates on what movies, videos of mine, and TV shows are coming out, and also to admire some art that I regularly post. Those or art like that can be seen right here, and the link to my Instagram will always be in my description. But if you want the tag right now, it is right here. All right. Let's get on with this video. Wow, as Darcy would say, what a twist, because Wanda has gone full villain, which is a bit of a departure from the comics, where she was mostly a secondary character in her own story, which is kind of sad. It kind of tells you how popular Scarlet Witch was at the time. But anyway, she was usually just working behind the scenes, so we never really got a clearer look at what was going on with her. But here, as Monica says at the end of the episode, Wanda is not only doing this, but is fully aware that she is doing it. It was all her choice. Maybe because she's crazy, and this ends up calling into question everything Wanda has ever done, because again, like I just said, she's crazy. So now, not only is it confirmed that Wanda is fully behind this, but that she's also playing house with Vision's dead corpse in every sense of the word. So let's start at the beginning of the episode, where we open with a very powerful sequence that was very well done, because you didn't quite know what was happening until you start to realize that Monica is blipping back into the universe after the events of Endgame. Because remember, in the last episode, Monica is shown at the end being pushed out of Wanda's world. So we didn't quite know what was happening until you started to put the pieces together through that sequence. So that was all very powerful. It was also revealed that she blipped out of the universe in her sleep, so she had no idea what happened to her when she blipped back into the universe. So I thought that was very fascinating. And then with the horrifying reveal that after Monica had thought her mother was getting better, the cancer returned, and she died after Monica blipped out of existence 2 years later, and she had to hear it through the nurse at the hospital. It was really, really sad. It made you feel so many emotions, and it was just really well done. But her mother's legacy still lives, as we soon see the Sword base outside of either Florida or Louisiana, which is where Monica grew up. And apparently she also grew up at Sword, because it is also revealed that her mother was the founder of that department. You could also see, like in the beginning of the episode, where you see Sword for the first time with this Sword base, that you could see that there's a bunch of launching pads, which is a nod to how they're in the comics and originally a space-faring organization. So there's a bunch of launch pads surrounding it, and it might also lead a clue that those launch pads are like transporters. That's the word. They're like transporters to the spaceship we saw at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home from 2019, where Nick Fury is at right now. So again, all interesting stuff. So that's also really exciting to see if that is true. I also just love the fact that Peggy Carter built S.H.I.E.L.D. and Maria Rambeau built Sword. Girl power at its finest. I thought that was a really well put together, like clue, or like just Easter egg. I thought that was just really nice. We also learned that new character Tyler Hayward is only acting director of Sword, meaning he's not officially promoted. And since Monica technically is a legacy, I wouldn't be surprised if she takes that spot at the end of the series. He also revealed that after some problems after the blip, and when it came to sending people into space, They now focus on robotics, nanotech, and AI, basically sentient weapons, as what the sword acronym means in the MCU. Which leads me to believe that they're not particularly after Wanda, but probably after Vision. Maybe Wanda stole Vision's corpse out of the Sword headquarters for her own use. That could be really cool, or a really cool clue as to what all is happening. Monica then receives orders to help the FBI with a missing persons case in Westview, New Jersey. And also another fun fact, New Jersey is where the original Vision and the Scarlet Witch comic takes place. So again, it's all coming together, synergy. But continuing on, Monica soon learns that when she gets there, that Westview didn't exist until Wanda came into town. But they did say that there was a town called Eastview, so maybe Wanda rebranded it when she settled down there. So they send in a drone into Westview, where it disappears without a trace, with Monica following suit, trying to do more investigative work. She failed. It's obviously failed Science 101, because one of the main rules of experiments and investigations is to not touch evidence or clues, because you can mess it up or you can get contaminated. So she failed Science 101. Why are you so dumb, Monica? Love you still. Why? And then we are reintroduced to Darcy Lewis, who is brought in to investigate the site of the fake town. And I gotta say, I really like Darcy's responses and conversations she has with the people around her during this episode. I thought Kat Dennings' delivery was very good each time. I also like that while she was studying the frequencies from the dome, you realize, or that she comes to realize, that in between these cosmic radiative frequencies she's studying, that she found TV broadcast frequencies are coming outside the dome, which was very interesting and very cool to me. And so she's watching Wanda's sitcom now, and we find out that she was the one watching and taking the notes at the end of episode 1. And so again, it's all coming together. This episode really gives us a lot of answers. And so yeah, and she was also the one, while they were watching and they saw Vision Wanda there, she was like, hey, isn't Vision dead? Which reminded us that he didn't believe that he's dead, and that was really just beautifully telegraphed at the ending, which is great. And that's why she needs different TVs, because apparently she could only pick up the signal of the sitcom if she has a TV that's the era that is broadcasting from. And that's why there are different TVs in the posters. So again, that was all really fun to put together. These clues are honestly really amazing. I also really like the scene where Jimmy asked why the other agent colorized the helicopter in the picture they took from inside Wanda's dome, and she said that she didn't. I thought that was very ominous in a sort of way. And I was also thrown off, though, and wondering why the agent skipped the commercials through when they were watching Wanda's sitcom. The commercials are incredibly important, so it makes you feel like they're behind you when it comes to putting the clues together. So now we have this thing where Sword is putting this guy in a hazmat suit that we've suspected from the previews, and he is going down through the sewers to go get Monica from the other side. Again, from what we saw from the previews, and it changes from a hazmat suit to a beekeeper suit, with the bees included. And then his rope in this world gets turned into a jump rope and disconnects, and then when he comes through the sewer. Again, that was also a really good sequence. Like the budget, you could tell where the budget went with the CGI and stuff, because this all looked really beautiful to see. I also love seeing the scene from his perspective, and I love seeing those shadowy figures at the night, which had a gothic romance look to it. And Wanda and Vision standing there, and I love Also seeing Vision protecting his baby already, even though it was not birthed yet. Or, as he does not know at this time, because this took place in episode 2, he did not know they were babies. But I thought that was just beautiful. It was a beautiful moment, even though how short it was. And again, so they're watching these episodes and they're recording and they're starting to compile information again. And on the board where they're starting to compile this information, you can see there it says scrolls, but that makes no sense because I'm like, why would that be your first guess, Jimmy Woo? That makes no sense. There was no scrolls anywhere. And then we see more hexagons everywhere like we saw in the last 3 episodes. And then we learn that the dome Wanda's keeping the residents in is in the shape of a hexagon, which might just be an Easter egg alluding to her hex powers in the comics. Which is a little bit of a letdown because it was like, from the first look of it, it was such an obvious AIM clue. Which, if people don't know, AIM is like a sister organization to Hydra, and they're like a big like tech and science company, but they're like the sister like corporation to Hydra. But still, that was like a big AIM clue before they just botched it all in like episode 4. But it seems like it's just a hex power clue, so that kind of sucks. So I guess Wanda's favorite color is red and her favorite shapes are hexagons. That's a little odd, but then again, she is insane. In the episode, we also see that Jimmy Woo has his board, and you can see that these are not just Hydra or Sword agents, but they are literally just New Jersey residents. I guess they lived in Eastview, but now they live in Westview. And of course, a couple of people already spotted from the preview that they dropped yesterday that there is no ID for Agnes because she is a special case, which we've talked about in like a couple of videos on me covering WandaVision. Sorry. We also don't see one for Dottie, but we can't confirm that she's like Agatha just yet. Because like a theory that's been floating around is that she might be a part of the coven, or like might be like a sister witch to Agnes and working with Mephisto as well. But again, we can't confirm that just yet because there's not enough clues yet. So then Monica / Geraldine shows up on the show as an extra, and I like personally when Darcy said that she got upgraded to a speaking role. So they're watching they're watching the sitcom, and I gotta be honest, I do like I really think that Jimmy Woo and Darcy, I like their dynamic. I think they work very good. They work very well together as a team, in fact. They then do the radio trick, as we all suspected, and I thought it was interesting to suddenly cut to Dottie because she seemed very, very afraid, which makes me question if maybe Dottie is an interesting player or maybe if she's just locked in there as well. She seems genuinely scared, like she seems legitimately scared. So I was like, wait a minute. And then Jimmy Woo made an assumption saying that she was just a regular person, and maybe as a possible misdirect, which made me feel like the mystery kind of lost its footing a little bit throughout this episode, but it still kept me engaged. But then I loved when Wanda in the show drops the facade. It was pretty scary. Elizabeth Olsen killed here. And then Jimmy Woo and Darcy were worried like they were about to watch Monica get killed on like television. And then it cut to the credits and they were like, quick to the quick go to the recording, because they were all recording the sitcoms as they were studying, and they were recording this, and then it was like they were getting to like the climax of like their battle, or it wasn't really a battle, like Wanda just pushed her out. But then it just cut to the credits, so they're confused, and then they hear a perimeter breach, so they rush out to see what's going on, but we go into the television to see what really happened, and that's where it gets really good. So we zoom in on Elizabeth Olsen. And then we zoom in on Elizabeth Olsen, and so she's like, "Who are you?" to Monica. She's wondering like, what is Monica doing there? And Monica was trying to play it off, saying that she's just her friendly neighbor, but Wanda claps back at her by activating her powers and by saying, "You know Ultron, you're not my neighbor, and you're definitely not my friend," which is also very powerful, not a monologue, but like a speech, more or less. And she was also realizing that someone is trying to destroy the fantasy world that she has created for herself. I also love how she uses her powers in this scene. She seems so much like a witch and so much like a villain. She then sends Monica hurtling through the walls out of her fantasy world, and then proceeds to clean up her mess and get rid of the evidence, much like a supervillain would. Oh, it's getting interesting. Then Vision runs back into the home, and she turns around and sees his dead corpse because Monica has disturbed her illusion, so she is reminded of what she is really interacting with. She looks away in horror and then composes herself and looks back at him, and he's just fine. And then she tells Vision not to worry because she has everything under control, and tries to like calm Vision down because he was worried about her. But even Vision can see the cracks starting to form in this reality, and is starting to be a little weary of Wanda. So that kind of gives me the clue that he'll probably be continuing to challenge her more and more throughout the series, which will unravel her reality even more. And I know Wanda's not gonna like that. So maybe, just maybe, here's my theory as of now, maybe Mephisto, Agnes, and maybe even Dottie, because like I said in the last few videos I've made, there are always 3 that is seen on her brooch. So they might offer Wanda a multiverse solution. So that's my review and breakdown of WandaVision episode 4. What did you think? Share your thoughts down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also follow my Instagram where you can get the latest updates on when videos are coming out and to admire some art. Alright, bye everyone.
Like you farted.